There comes a point where you work out your back so frequently and so often that it adds more compression than what's necessary, and this can actually restrict muscle growth potential. When we work the same muscles over and over, week after week, month after month, year after year even, with very similar exercises, the muscles start to compress and we start losing that mobility. And it's not just the muscles that are compressing. People think it's always the muscles, but it's not. It's your connective tissue. This is your fascia system. It holds every system, cell, structure, muscle fiber in the body together. So it's actually your connective tissue that is responsible for a lot of your muscle growth potential. But you have to think, every time that you are going to the gym, you're intentionally injuring your muscles. So we need to tear the muscle cell so that it can rebuild to become bigger and stronger. But you have to think of this. Every time you create a tear, that's technically an injury. And when you have an injury, then that sends inflammation. And if you don't repair that properly, then that can start causing more scar tissue and density. So what we need to do, as I mentioned, is go in and release the connective tissue through a fascia decompression technique to actually unlock the tissue, unlock the muscle so that it can actually have that potential to grow. I mentioned this in a previous video, but if you were to have a steak and you were to wrap a fishnet around it and you tighten that fishnet, it's only going to physically restrict the muscle from growing, but that's only one perspective of the fascia. It is also intertwined within every cell and every muscle fiber. So the more adhesions and the more density there is, then you can feel that the muscle fibers might not be contracting properly. And for many of us, because we're all unique on how our tissue grips and holds, and sure, our genetic makeup is different, then we get used to the same motions over and over, and you almost fall into these fascia grooves. That's why it can be so difficult to grow certain areas of your back, or why do my lats grow big but my rhomboids aren't, or this is growing but this isn't, or one side of my back is bigger but one side isn't. So this is where we need to release that connective tissue and almost start from a blank slate. Now, I'm not saying we're going to wipe out all adhesions at once, but we're going to slowly start actually tackling this and working through these adhesions. And then what we do once we start releasing these areas in the back, then we can start pumping more blood and oxygen flow into that area. This is the one thing that you can do no matter what your training style is to help release and grow your back. So I'm going to show you a series of positions that you can do at home. All you need is a rolled up towel. I would recommend doing these before you go to the gym so that you just unlocked and opened up your body and your back so that you're going to have an incredible workout. But again, make sure that you're doing lighter weight to start, and even throughout your entire workout, stick to doing some lighter stuff just to really fill in the back and to prevent the body from falling back into those grooves. Because when we start lifting heavy, all our mind is thinking, get from A to B, get from A to B. We're not as conscious of our posture and our alignment and our muscle contractions. So focus on the contractions, focus on the pump, and this will help reintegrate and recruit more muscle cells and fibers so that you can finally take your back to the next level. Let's get started with our first position. So grab your rolled up towel, and we're going to be working in the upper side ribs. This is going to be right along with your pec height. So position the towel just like this, and nice and slow, come on down. We're going to start with that left side. And let's bend your left elbow, rest your head in your hand. And first thing we want to do is connect to our breath. This is extremely important that we're breathing through the diaphragm. As you inhale, your belly should be expanding. As you exhale, the belly and the rib cage should be getting smaller. So now we want to connect to the breath and find that pain. So you might start feeling pain is starting to build up in this area. That's okay. That's actually a good thing. We want to look for pain. Pain equals restriction to blood and oxygen flow. That's the adhesion. So when you find more pain as you search, you want to stay with that area. Once you've settled in, we want to slowly start searching towards the front. We're not jumping to the back quite yet. As we're searching towards the front, find an area of pain. As soon as you find that, hang out there and breathe. Again, spend about a minute or so in the front. And then once you've done so, come back to neutral. And then we're going to drop our top leg behind us. And now we're going to start searching towards the back. This is also going to help unlock your shoulder blade because it's probably glued to the rib cage. So as you search towards the back, you might be feeling more pain, less pain. It's all dependent on you. But let's stay with that and still connect to that breath. We want to be spending a minimum of 3 minutes in any position that I showcase. After you spent a minimum of 3 minutes here, bring your top hand in front of you, nice and slow. Let's exhale up and off. Now you want to repeat this position on the other side, follow the exact same protocol. Again, spend a minimum of 3 to 5 minutes here, and you might notice that one side is more painful than the other, and that is normal. You'll want to actually spend more time on that more painful side because there's more compression, more adhesion there. We're not symmetrical. So now let's move into our next position. This is going to be right in the armpit, literally where the arm connects to the rib cage is where the towel is going to be positioned. So it's just a few inches higher than where we just had the towel. And we're going to approach this almost the same way. Let's bend that left elbow, rest your head in your hand, and let's connect to that breath. Let's settle in. Let's feel what kind of pain is building up in this area. And again, you don't want to be holding your breath at any time. If it's too painful and you're not breathing through a controlled, relaxed way, ease off a little bit and reconnect at a less intensity. And again, we're not searching fast. The slower you move, the deeper you'll actually get. We're not trying to force anything. We have to stay here isometrically and allow the tissue to release and unwind. So now that you're searched towards the front, spend some time here, but now you can extend your left hand out in front of you directly overhead and start moving it very slow. You can walk your fingers in front of you or behind you to really help open up this joint and to open up the lat and even into the rotator cuff. I know we're not directly on the rotator cuff rolling forwards, but we're going to be approaching that in a moment. So once you spend a minute or so here, let's come back to neutral and let's slowly start searching towards the back. And this is where you may want to bring your hands behind your head and then just start searching and digging into the rotator cuff. Once you spend a minute or so here, let's come back to neutral. And then when you're ready, after the minimum of 3 minutes, place your top hand in front of you, and then you can exhale up and off. Now, of course, make sure you repeat this on the other side. Spend a minimum 3 to 5 minutes here, and then we're going to move on to our final exercise. Okay, so we just released a lot of compression in the upper ribs, the serratus, the lat, the shoulder blade area, the rotator cuff, even into the rear deltoid. So this is a prime time to start contracting the muscles, but properly. We want to be training the body properly. A lot of people aren't conscious of their posture and their alignment when they're in the gym. So with this exercise, let's lay flat on your front, and then we're going to be performing a dynamic W while we're facing the floor. So once you lay flat on your front, now what we're going to do is bring the arms out to a W like this. And we're going to lift them off of the floor, but make sure that your shoulder blades are protracted. We don't want to be shrugging up with the traps. Try to keep those more relaxed. So once they're off of the floor and the shoulder blades are protracted, nice and slow, let's bring those arms directly overhead. And the whole time you're doing this, focus on the shoulder blades being protracted. Try not to shrug up and use the traps too much here. Now, once you've reached the top, nice and slow, we're going to be coming back. And now this is where you're going to feel more of that squeeze. So as you're coming back, we're externally rotating the arms and the hands as we're pulling down, almost like a lat pull down. So now we want to be contracting the back quite hard. And then we're going to perform another repetition. So you'll want to be performing 10 repetitions, even up to 20. If you can do more, that's amazing. Other movements like this to pump up the back with the bodyweight exercises are going to work incredible. And these are things you should be doing before you work out your back. Don't jump into heavy compound movements right away. You got to prime, open up the back, and actually allow there to be enough blood flow and proper contraction of the muscles. Now, to take this exercise to the next level, let's engage the glutes, let's get into a slight back extension, and then let's perform these dynamic W's from this alignment. So you're going to be performing the same thing, but now we have different muscles in the back and the glutes activated as you're performing these exercises. So don't necessarily start off with this, but you can do this the next few times that you try this out. Now that I've explained the positions to do for fascia decompression and the exercise, let's break down the routine that you can follow. So first off, we start with that upper side rib position. We spend 3 to 5 minutes on each side. Whichever side is more painful, you can spend more time there. Then we move into the armpit position. Spend a minimum of 3 to 5 minutes on each side. And again, whichever side is more painful, you can spend more time there. You can even spend up to 10 plus minutes if you really want to. And then we move into the dynamic W while we're laying flat on the front. Let's perform 10 to 20 repetitions. If you can do more, that's amazing, but do 3 sets of this. Then to take this to the advanced level, we're going to be doing this with that back extension, holding that back extension pretty well that entire time, and that's going to be exhausting. What you can also do as a variation is come into the back extension, perform an exercise, and then come back flat to the floor, and then get back into the back extension and then perform another repetition. Make sure, again, you're performing 10 to 20 of these, and you're gonna feel a lot of blood and freedom in your back. So let me know in the comments below if this has helped you out, if you notice more range of motion, a bigger pump, even bigger and wider back. So this is going to be very important for you to follow. Try to do this before every back day. You can even do this on your off days. If you want to do it every day, absolutely you can do that. Check out other videos that I have for fascia decompression and exercises to take your body, your health, your muscle growth to the next level. So make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.